Let's talk about something that I know Gary's kind of a little bit peeved about, in a sense. You know, he's at least peeved at the game per se. Talking about
Another
Metal
thing
Gear.
that sucks.
I know that thing is Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes and Thief will be both the games will not be running at 1080p on Xbox One. They will be on PlayStation 4, which is cool, but not on Xbox One. So, Gary, since obviously you know more obviously a lot about Metal Gear, you're the resident Metal Gear fanatic, I guess you could call you at this point. What's going on? What do you think of this? Do you care?
I actually don't care about that in this case because I was gonna get it on PS4 anyway. But that's if I actually buy the game because the thing is I'm kind of pissed off that it's a 2-hour game, so I'm not even sure if I'm gonna buy it yet. But yeah, if I do buy it, it will be on PS4, so I don't really care about that. But it is funny that this is a so-called next-gen system, and they still can't get games to run at 1080p, 60 frames per second. And I mean, I know on PS4, there's games as well that aren't always 1080p. So, my thought on that is, are these games really next gen? I mean, come on, like there's old PCs from like 5 years ago that can run 1080p, 60 frames per second games and higher. So like they should be having no problems with this right now. Like I don't understand. Like this is really next gen.
I wonder if it's actually a technical reason with the system that they can't do it. Like, because I mean, to be honest with you, like you would think with all the hardware that's inside the Xbox One, it's on par with some decent freaking good PCs. Same thing with PlayStation 4. Maybe it's something in the infrastructure specifically, that's unique to Xbox One, why they can't do that. I mean, I'm not technical savvy. I'm pretty sure like some of our viewers will probably understand it a little bit more than us like that. But I wonder what it is exactly, why.
I don't know what it is, man, but all I know is if I paid £500 to £600 for an Xbox One and it couldn't run these games at 1080p, 60 frames, I'd be pissed. So that's all.
Let's talk to Mr. Edward Velasquez over here, Mr. Xbox One himself. What do you think about this, man? Your games on your next gen console are going to be at 720p. They're not going to be on 1080p. They're not going to be grand in picture as the other console. I mean, what do you think about that?
Just to go off what Gary said just now, I would be pissed if I bought a $700 PlayStation 3 and there was no fucking games at all to play. But and that's exactly what happened, right? All right, but just to move on to the future.
That didn't happen.
We have Resistance 3, B. We were good.
So wait. You prefer to have like half of a game on launch day for your console? Okay, fair enough.
I'd rather have games than no games.
You rather have no. Here, I got a good one for you. Xbox One. You rather have a game that isn't complete, that requires patches, or requires day one downloadable content. That's what you have.
Metal Gear Solid does not require downloadable.
No, but I'm saying other games like Killer Instinct does.
What content? Like it did.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
What?
It's free. Yeah, the free-to-play model.
Awesome.
And plus, it needed patches. You needed patches on day one.
Yeah, but that's a free-to-play model. Like once you bought the game for $20, you're good.
No, it's like $20.
Nah, it was $20, bro.
All right.
Yes. So educate yourself. Alright. But anyways.
Nah.
Yeah. But anyways, as far as Metal Gear Ground Zeroes, running at below 1080p. First of all, this game is 2 hours long, so it should not be running at any frame ever. I think.
I'm still shocked by that, to be honest with you. I mean, I want to know what's going through Kojima's head. That better be like the best 2 hours we've ever played in a video game. I'm just saying. Like, you better knock the crap out of us with how good this game is going to be. And then afterwards, it better be even better in Phantom Pain when that game drops eventually.
I'm not going to actually give Ground Zeroes a hard time. I mean, yeah, it's 2 hours, and that fucking sucks. Especially when you look at the price, and I think it's $40 or something. So it's not full price, so we can't totally shit on it. But for 2 hours of game, we can still shit on it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I definitely don't expect Phantom Pain to be, as short as this. I do look at this as a prologue. I keep that in mind, but as far as the performance issues that these games are having on Xbox, I'm not. I'm not a graphic person, man. I already said it on the last few episodes where I was like, "Hey, Forza 5 runs 1080p, 60 frames per second on my Xbox One, and it doesn't look any different from Forza 4." I can't tell. I don't understand frames per second, and I'm not gonna act like I do. So, hey, you might call me like, "Oh, what the hell? Edward doesn't know frames per second in 1080p. He's not a gamer." Sure, go ahead, say that. I don't give a fuck, but I'm still gonna play games. And I'm not gonna try to seem like I'm technical and know everything about the ins and outs of game development. Because I see people day in, day out on fucking NeoGAF who just bitch about the most absurd fucking things, and I'm not joining in that crowd.
But let me ask you a question, though. Don't mean to interrupt, but let me ask you a question, though. If you're already paying, so much money for a next-gen console that's supposed to be next-gen, okay, and it's competing with another console that, again, is also next-gen, and it's able to, get on as I guess a higher resolution, not frame rate, but high resolution of image for what's happening on screen like that, and you're paying technically more than that console for whatever reason like that, wouldn't you be a little bit pissed off in a sense, because you wouldn't be able to get that same level of quality?
No, because I'm not paying that extra $100 for 1080p pixels or whatever the fuck that stands for.
But if it's considered next gen though, and that's the standard for next gen, or that's like the big thing, as far as like level of quality of what you're seeing, wouldn't that kind of peeve you a tiny bit?
I think like when you're buying like when you've got a PC that's like lower spec than what these consoles are that can run these games at that no problem, then I think that's when it's a problem, like for me. Like if you got a PC
that's a very good point.
From 4 years ago, that's old technology that can run games better than Xbox One and PS4. Like that's a problem to me.
Who plays PC games? Nobody, bro.
Oh, that's fine words. But I understand your point, Gary. That is a good point. I mean, again, if you're paying for so much money for hardware that's supposed to be like next gen, that's supposed to be like the latest stuff, and it doesn't work as well, if not better, than some of the stuff from, again, PCs from years ago, and technically they're supposed to be built kind of like PCs. Common sense would mean like, okay, shouldn't they be up to the standard of current gen PCs that are doing like, certain ridiculous amount of stuff, with whatever that they have, or at least be able to be up to that par of getting up to 1080p picture quality.
And I also feel like Microsoft's kind of taking the blame for all of this. Like, I don't think it's all Microsoft's fault. I mean, it's not like no other third-party game runs 1080p 60 frames per second. Strider just came out, and that runs 1080p 60 frames per second. So for the graphics whore, technical whore in video games, then I think they need to like make an in-depth report on what the fuck is going on.
But if Strider's such a smaller budgeted game compared to like something like Ground Zeroes or whatnot, don't you think that technically it should be up to the standard for Ground Zeroes to still get up to that same level of quality if it have much more, available to it, and it's on the same hardware? Don't you think?
But isn't that more Kojima's a question?
No, really. I don't think necessarily it's Kojima's fault. Maybe Kojima probably wanted to actually put out a 1080p if you think about it, and maybe there was something inherently preventing him from doing so on Xbox One. Or maybe it was something with Microsoft. Maybe it has something to do with downloading the game digital, for all we know. Something really stupid and random. I mean, to put it in perspective, compare it to like being able to sync your PSN trophies on your Vita, and your PlayStation 3 and display on both. That was like a big deal for Sony for like the longest time. And it was like the most ridiculous, stupidest like issue at the time, but it was a huge deal. But point being is that some people, I guess, they care about certain things like that because they feel like maybe they should be getting much more up to the standard that everybody else is doing. If everybody's supposed to be on a leveling playing field. But with that being said, besides, oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say I just think all this is for the moment now. I think in a year's time, I think both versions will pretty much be equal. That's just what I think.
I agree. I think you might be right. Down the line, like maybe like a year or so after the game comes out, or whatever, or even right after launch, for all we know. But let me ask you: is it the same thing that you guys feel the same way about Metal Gear? Do you feel the same way about Thief? Because I know I don't personally care about Thief. I mean, I've heard the name of the game, the title, a couple times, but it's to me, I look at it, it looks like a Splinter Cell mixed with Assassin's Creed. Like that's what it looks like to me anyway, at first glance. But what about you guys? Does it really have the same sort of, impact or pizzazz that because of Metal Gear with its name behind it?
I don't want to put words in Richard or Gary's mouth, but we saw that game at E3, and it was absolutely fucking horrible.
It was really bad.
It was the worst presentation we saw at E3.
The presentation made it worse than it actually.
So at this point, it doesn't matter if it is a 1080p. So.
Well, no, we already have a negative perception because we had an appointment. If we had an appointment, they walk in, oh, sorry, we don't have any more seats. They had us standing in the back while everyone else had on headphones and they can hear the game and the guy talking. So it was just very awkward. Very, very awkward.
Not to mention, James G of the Coalition was there with a Kilton. And he was sitting down. Nah, but there really was a dude with a Kilton, and we like to believe that was James G of the Coalition.